Hi, I'm Mei Chu, and welcome to the Innovation Pitch Competition session. We're really excited to present to you a number of wonderful ideas. And this is my third year from its inception, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Here's my co-chair, and she will introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Molly Lamb. Mei Chu and I are both from the University of Colorado School of Public Health, and I joined Mei in this endeavor last year and continue to enjoy working on the pitch session this year.
Okay, so today, first and foremost, we cannot do this without support and funding from various different entities. And we want to particularly thank Ronald McDonald House Charities for their funding, and a very special thanks to the past president, Peter Hotez, who was a recipient of the 2019 RNHC Award of Excellence for sharing his grant with ASTMH, and also many thanks to Roche for their contribution. Over to you, Molly.
We'd also like to thank our reviewers who are experts in the field from around the world, and they have reviewed dozens of applications that we received. I'd like to thank our Innovations Pitch Competition Committee, who helps us make this a permanent thing at ASTMH. I'd especially like to thank Rebecca and Kyle, who have done a fantastic job managing the logistics of this from ASTMH. And then Mei, can you announce the judges?
So we are really fortunate to have a really wonderful group of judges. And first of all, Dan Bouch, who is the incoming president of ASTMH. Thank you, Dan. Peter Hotez, who has been a contributor to this funding for our prize. And then welcoming Dr. Rebecca Richards-Cortum and Matthias Strobel and Mimi Yin, who was last year's winner. We're going to have a lot of fun. The judges are going to be listening, and they are going to be scoring, and they're going to score on several different areas, which I will quickly list for you. And they're going to score on how innovative is this idea and presentation, what is the impact of this idea, what the scientific approach has been, how credible is the science, and then is there a possibility for this to be prototyped, deployed, and how can they do the marketing and outreach plan if they are well advanced into their development. The judging will be in such a way scored so that the science and the judging scores of 60% would be important, and the audience also will have time to participate, and the audience score will be equal to 40%. So we do encourage those participating audience to please vote. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And the voting will occur after the questions. So what will happen is we will have all 5 pitches have been pre-recorded, and they are 7 minutes each. They will play back to back, and then we will have questions open. So while the pitch is playing, please type your questions into the chat for those for that particular pitch, and we will conglomerate the questions and ask them of the finalists during the question and answer session, which follows all 5 pitches. After the question and answer session, in which the judges get to ask questions as well, then we will have the voting, and so there will be an opportunity for you to vote for your favorite. The grand prize winner will receive $10,000 plus a private pitch session with an investor that would be suitable for them. Second prize wins $5,000. Third through fifth prizes wins $1,000, and there's also a $500 bonus for the audience favorite. So again, we encourage you to vote. And we also note that all finalists will receive support to attend the ASTMH meeting next year. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to a lively and fascinating pitch session. And we hope that you will have lots of good questions. Please participate, and let's get going.
Picture a young child in Bangladesh. That child's going to have very drastic differences than a child here in the United States. In developing countries like Bangladesh, for example, the most ordinary, everyday life things that are experienced in America are drastically different in Bangladesh, as environmental issues are much more impactful there. Their houses aren't set up to deal with these environmental issues, and they lack the resources they need to get proper care. The air we breathe is almost taken for granted in the United States. While in developing countries like Bangladesh and other low and middle income countries like Bangladesh, it is drastically different. And air pollution seems to be a prolonged fight. It is almost a sad reality that nearly 30% of Bangladeshi children suffer from asthma, chronic cough, or some other like migraines, other medical illnesses due to the air pollution in Bangladesh. The COVID-19 pandemic will surely hit these types of countries first and the hardest. Developing countries like Bangladesh have even taken steps to try and help their people and protect their people from this dangerous pandemic. But it's a startling reality that only 1 out of every 10 people within Bangladesh have even access to a mask. That doesn't even incorporate if the mask works properly or if they're able to use it properly. And it doesn't help the fact that they still might suffer from these pre-existing conditions like asthma, a chronic cough, or migraines due to this air pollution. This sad reality contributes to the increasing mortality rate within Bangladesh's children due to air pollution. This is the major issue in today's world, and one that me and my team wanted to confront head on. Hi, my name is Adam Sumro, and I am a freshman at the University of North Texas at Denton. With 9 high schoolers and under the guidance of Dr. Amy Price and Larry Chu of Stanford University, we present to you Project DIY. Now, I know what you're thinking. Project DIY. Does that stand for do it yourself? Well, actually, despite the popular DIY acronym being used for do it yourself, we wanted to do a spin on it and say don it young to emphasize the importance of implementing PPE within the younger generation and to be able to have it accessible and comfortable for the younger generation. When approaching something as daunting as innovating a face mask, which has been here for decades now, especially during something called the COVID-19 pandemic, we made sure to consult the World Health Organization's top 10 list of things needed in today's PPE. And with that, we were able to tackle some, if not all, of the tasks provided. Our mask is durable, it can be used multiple times, it is ecological, it is made from biodegradable materials and plastics that all are helpful for the environment and help the world sustain itself further. It is visually, audibly, and accessible, and it won't contribute to any communication disparities. It has a seal on the nose to ensure that no bodily fumes come and fog up the glasses of our PPE and don't obstruct the visual aspect of the PPE as well. And it is adjustable, as our mask can be made in different sizes and can be tied around in different sizes in order to incorporate many sizes for all ages. Now moving along to our connection to a lower middle income country. Now, if you didn't guess by now, our lower middle income country of choice that we selected on was Bangladesh. And we have a representative from Bangladesh. His name is Anik. You can see him on the screen. And Anik has been working extensively with the public health in Bangladesh and trying to tackle this head on. And so when we started this startup, it was really a great experience to have him on our team and him on our side to tackle this head on. And he gave us a lot of insight and he gave us a lot of help in the right direction on how to go about presenting this to you guys. Specifically, with his experience, we were able to create a mask that tackled all 10 of the World Health Organization's perfect PPE list, sort of, while making it accessible for people in middle to lower income countries. And on top of that, due to his extensive experience within the public health field, he was able to show us real-life used prototype implementation procedures that will be discussed later on in the presentation. A huge importance to our team was really to source this locally to make sure they're self-efficient. So what this can do is that our mask is able to help create jobs as people creating the masks, and it is also ecological as the biodegradable plastics we chose are FDA approved and Oceana approved, and they don't leave any microplastics behind. Additionally, what we will do is have templates of our blueprint mask, and what we can do is it's easier for people to replicate the mask on their own as well. So this helps them be able to make many masks if needed, and maybe even export masks if they have met their need themselves. And this could also stimulate the economy further. To summarize, our mask puts together all 10 things needed from the World Health Organization currently about what could make PPE better and more reliable, while combining cost efficiency for these lower to middle income countries. By getting our inspiration from the World Health Organization and our team member from the lower middle income country, UNIC, we have been able to create a mask that will not only protect people from COVID-19, but also protect them from the microparticles and invisible demons that they may interfere with every day and might not know about. Our design is able to be used by all, and it is for all, and it can be made by the people for the people, and even exported out if they meet their needs locally. This mask can ultimately provide the perfect protection for anyone all over the world, no matter their economic status, no matter their backstory, no matter what they're facing. It can truly protect all.
In 2019, 5.2 million children died before reaching their 5th birthday. What exactly are these children dying of? From 1 month to 5 years, the two most common causes of death are acute respiratory infection and diarrheal disease, accounting for about 20% of mortality in this age range. These and other common childhood illnesses have well-established cost-effective treatments. So why are so many children dying of treatable illnesses? It's a problem of access. My name is Molly Klarman, and I'm here to present a simple yet innovative solution called MotiMeds. Our mission is to link families in resource-limited settings with qualified pediatric care. MotiMeds is a project out of Dr. Eric Nelson's lab at the University of Florida in collaboration with the Faculty of Pharmacy and Medicine in Port-au-Prince, the CV Foundation in Gressier, and Trek Medics International. So what are the obstacles families face when accessing care, and how is MotiMeds well positioned to overcome them? To better understand this, let's take a look at the Charlemagne family who live in a semi-rural area of Haiti. Nadia is Marie's 1-year-old daughter. One morning, Marie noticed Nadia had an episode of diarrhea. By early afternoon, she'd already changed her diaper multiple times. Typically, when a family member starts to show signs of illness, Marie waits it out to see how the illness evolves, hoping that it will resolve before requiring outside intervention. Regardless, that afternoon, Marie was in no position to abruptly leave her business selling eggs from home and to leave her children to seek care for Nadia. That evening, when Marie's husband came home from work, he remarked that Nadia seemed lethargic. At that moment, Marie took a pause from her busy afternoon and realized that Nadia's diarrhea had not been improving, but it was getting worse. So Mom and Dad began to look at their options. The clinics had already closed for the day. Going to the local hospital would cause financial hardship and be logistically difficult at the time of the evening. There was the neighbor who sold medications outside of his front porch. They weren't sure of his qualifications and didn't want to risk it with Nadia. So it was looking like they would wait out the night and go to the clinic first thing in the morning. But then Marie remembered a radio ad she'd heard. It said, "Les petites ou les malades nuit really MotiMeds. When your child becomes sick at night, call MotiMeds." So with no other options, they decided to give it a try. When Marie calls MotiMeds, she reaches a qualified nurse backed by an on-call physician who follows MotiMeds clinical guidelines, which were adapted from the WHO in-person Integrated Management of Childhood Illness Guidelines. So the process begins with the nurse triaging the child for danger signs, Arrow 1. If danger signs are present, the child is referred for emergency care, Arrow 2. If danger signs are not present, the nurse asks the parents questions to get an understanding of the child's vital signs, details of the specific complaint, and a quick review of the child's health history and any medication allergies, Arrow 3. MotiMeds targets children with respiratory problems, fever, diarrhea, vomiting, and skin, ear, and urinary infections. These are all illnesses that can rapidly progress in young children but are easily treatable. So next, the nurse makes an assessment and develops a treatment plan, which includes where and how to be treated. Arrow 4. If the child needs basic medications or fluids and lives within the delivery zone, a motorcycle is dispatched to their home, Arrow 5. If the child lives outside of the delivery zone, they receive advice for home management, Arrow 6. So a quick call to MotiMeds can serve 3 vital purposes. First, it can help parents determine whether the situation requires expending scarce resources for emergency care. Second, it can eliminate the risky practice of reaching out to those nearby for unqualified care or advice. And third, timely management can prevent a pre-emergent illness from developing into an emergency over the nighttime hours. Emergency illnesses are considerably more expensive and complicated to treat in this context. So where exactly is our team in the development of MotiMeds as a viable, scalable solution to improve access to healthcare? Prior to the launch of MotiMeds in September 2019, our team completed 4 years of NIH-funded formative research in Bangladesh and Haiti. This involves design workshops with stakeholders and a healthcare needs analysis. The first year of MotiMeds was intended to be a feasibility and safety evaluation. We can report that the call center has been successfully established and remained operational despite some difficult circumstances, which included a countrywide lockdown due to political unrest and the coronavirus pandemic. So evaluating safety is a critical component of our work because although MotiMeds utilizes evidence-based guidelines, these guidelines were originally developed for in-person assessment. And due to the virtual nature of telemedicine, the nurse must rely on the parents' understanding of the questions and ability to accurately assess their child's symptoms. So we are finishing up a congruence analysis where we compare information the parent relays over the phone with what's observed by a nurse at the bedside. We're accomplishing this by sending a nurse to the with every delivery to conduct a paired physical exam. While we're still collecting data, preliminary analysis for about 275 household visits has shown that the guidelines are accurate in identifying case severity, and the data are revealing which features are reliable and which need further iteration. So what's next for MotiMeds? We have 3 major steps ahead of us. First is to finalize the call center guidelines, which will be reiterated based on the results from the congruence analysis and then digitized. Currently, all work is performed on paper by hand. Digitizing the process will reduce call duration, it will improve adherence to guidelines, and it will facilitate dissemination of the tool. With robust guidelines, we'll begin the second step, which is bringing MotiMeds to scale. This will take the form of a single call center servicing 3 geographically disparate delivery zones in Haiti, and nurse will no longer accompany the deliveries. Another component to scaling is to pilot MotiMeds in Ghana to assess generalizability to another healthcare setting. Third step is prioritizing partnerships and avenues towards sustainability. At this point, we'll have developed a freely available application in multiple languages that contains rigorously evaluated pediatric call center guidelines and a framework for delivery system, which to our knowledge does not yet exist. This tool can make an impact beyond our research in a number of ways. It can be coupled with private or public EMS services, or it can be integrated into existing healthcare services operated by ministries of health, private entities, or NGOs. So as we have rolled out MotiMeds, unexpected opportunities and challenges have arisen. For example, with the arrival of COVID-19, families began to avoid seeking routine healthcare services for fear of exposure to the virus. In this context, the advantages of telemedicine were brought to the forefront as an alternative option for in-person care. MotiMeds is ideally situated to provide healthcare in the COVID-19 era. So what ended up happening with Nadia? She did not have any danger signs, and the MotiMeds nurse determined she had mild dehydration and would benefit from oral rehydration solution and zinc, which was delivered to her home within 1 hour of when her parents placed a call to MotiMeds. Marie also received advice to continue breastfeeding, and then she promptly saved MotiMeds' phone number in her cell phone. So our team will continue developing MotiMeds so that more families like Marie's can go to sleep at night without worrying what might happen if they are forced to wait until the morning to access care.
Preventable blindness due to eye disease is a leading cause of disability globally. According to the World Health Organization, corneal disease alone impacts 120 million people worldwide, and it's estimated that 500,000 children a year become blind due to these corneal dystrophies. However, fewer than 20% of patients are able to access the diagnostic technologies required to detect these conditions and enable early treatment. Specifically, the corneal endothelium is a monolayer of cells on the posterior surface of the cornea, and it must be imaged to diagnose corneal disorders and monitor patient health before and after cataract surgery. Currently, the primary method of imaging the corneal endothelium requires a device called a specular microscope, which costs upwards of $40,000, requires a board-certified ophthalmologist to operate, and is non-portable. This makes corneal screening inaccessible to the majority of primary care clinics and eye care facilities in resource-limited environments. As student engineers and computer scientists who are very passionate about global health equity, we believed we could leverage technology to solve this challenge. We reached out to leading ophthalmologists to further understand the impact of undiagnosed corneal disease and began collaborating with Dr. Madhu Udaraju, the Chief Medical Officer of the Sri Kiran Institute of Ophthalmology in Telangana, India. He described in detail the weekly ophthalmology outreach clinics which are conducted by institutions such as Sri Karan in the rural communities. Clinicians from the base hospital drive out to rural areas, identify patients at risk for blindness, and bring them back to the hospital for surgery. The lack of access to screening technology is a major challenge in this process. In the entire state of Andhra Pradesh, which sees 12 million ophthalmological cases per year, there are only 3 specular microscopes available, and they are too expensive to be deployed more broadly. Our team believed that the functionality of specular microscopes could be replicated on a far cheaper and more ubiquitous platform, smartphones. We combined advancements in smartphone image capture with custom machine learning algorithms to build a novel smartphone-based system for examining the corneal endothelium. Working alongside physicians at Sri Karan and Harvard Medical School, we developed a smartphone application that enables any physician with access to a slit lamp to generate a comprehensive report of corneal endothelial health. The heart of this platform is an easy-to-use Android application that functions without internet connectivity, takes a physician step-by-step through the image capture process, and automatically generates a report of results. Our app uses cutting-edge directional filtering and deep learning convolutional neural network algorithms to take a low-resolution smartphone image of the cornea and provide an extremely accurate estimation of cell density, cell variation, and cell hexagonality, which are all clinically salient measures of endothelial health. After developing our application, and with the support of the Harvard South Asia Institute, we traveled to India this past January to work directly with ophthalmologists at the Sri Karan Institute and validate the technology. We ran a clinical trial in which 30 patients were imaged using both our smartphone platform and the $40,000 gold standard specular microscope. The data from the smartphone platform were statistically concordant with those generated by the gold standard $40,000 specular microscope, demonstrating the accuracy of our platform and its potential as a clinical grade diagnostic. By moving a technologically complex yet crucial diagnostic function onto a smartphone platform, we have made a major step towards dramatically improving the accessibility of corneal screenings. We've shown that it's possible to achieve clinically acceptable diagnostic accuracy with a setup that costs a fraction of the current gold standard. This result, in and of itself, would enable healthcare institutions with minimal resources to implement mobile corneal screenings, in addition to preoperative and postoperative corneal evaluations, using readily available tools. Additional funding would enable us to refine the smartphone platform via more advanced hardware attachment and perform further clinical testing to validate the technology on diverse patient cohorts. Our standalone device could be used by minimally trained community healthcare workers, enabling corneal screening to be done on an unprecedented scale in resource-limited settings. It would also enable imaging of patients who are bedridden or unable to sit up, such as infants. Using our technology, corneal diseases could be identified much earlier, leading to less invasive interventions, improved patient outcomes, and preventing cases of blindness. Over the past 2 years, we have received fantastic guidance and feedback from leading physicians, engineers, and global health experts. Our work has been recognized in competitions including the Harvard School of Public Health Medical Technology Competition, Harvard Medical School's World Cornea Congress, and the Harvard South Asia Institute Seed for Change competition. A scientific paper describing our results is currently in the process of peer review in the journal Nature Eye. To conclude, we have a message from our wonderful team of advisors, including Dr. Rudraju, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the Sri Karan Institute, and Dr. Drakunas, who is a professor at Harvard Medical School and the Director of Mass Eye Near's Cornea Center.
Corneal diseases are a major cause of preventable blindness in the world, and the role of corneal imaging plays a very important role in preventing this blindness. The present form of corneal imaging systems are very expensive and are not affordable by most of the ophthalmologists in developing countries. The innovation developed by Sri Karan team at Harvard GAMI will revolutionize the way in which we do corneal imaging. It will take corneal imaging to every clinic of a comprehensive ophthalmologist.
Hi, my name is Ula Yurkunas and I'm a cornea surgeon at Mass Eye Near. Loss of corneal endothelial cells is a key indication for corneal transplantation worldwide. There is unmet need to image corneal endothelium. Smart mode technology provides a low cost and a clinically accurate technology to image corneal endothelium in previously inaccessible patient population. I am very excited for this project and the team of undergraduate students. Thank you.
Together, we believe we can eradicate preventable blindness due to corneal diseases and significantly improve the lives of millions of children and adults all around the world. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello everyone, and thank you ASTMH for providing this platform to pitch our invention. It is hard to believe that COVID-19 is wreaking havoc throughout the world. COVID-19 is a viral pandemic caused by SARS coronavirus 2, infection of which causes acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS, followed by extrapulmonary manifestations or secondary infections leading to sepsis and multi-organ failure, including lungs, kidneys, heart, and liver failure. COVID-19 affects people of all ages, including children and all genders. As of October 25th, over 42 million people are infected worldwide, and about 3% have died. Up to 90% of those who required ventilator support have also died. COVID-19 has caused severe global socioeconomic consequences. Children in low and middle income countries such as India, Nepal, and Nigeria are disproportionately affected from viral diseases, including COVID-19, due to the lack of testing, access to healthcare, and societal stigma. Vaccines may confer protection for most of the vaccinated population. However, children, elderly, and other at-risk individuals such as comorbid and immunocompromised who receive a vaccine could still develop symptoms that could lead to hospitalization due to lower immunity. There is also a lack of adequate cold storage chain to preserve vaccines in low and middle income countries, affecting around 300 million people. Note that modern medicine has not yet provided a cure. There is therefore an unprecedented urgency to create innovative breakthrough solutions that could neutralize viruses, including SARS coronavirus 2, and reduce progression and death at a significantly low cost. So what is the solution? Our team at Everest Biona is developing SmartRat, which is a low-dose inhalation, rapid-acting antiviral therapeutic. It's designed to target the virus spike protein and human ACE2 receptor, thereby blocking the virus cell entry and conferring protection against SARS coronavirus 2 infections. SmartRat is also adaptable to other viruses. SmartRat is a nanobubble technology. As you can see here, this is an artist rendition of SmartRat containing a bubble on the outside, and inside you can see oxygen as well as nanoparticles. So SmartRat is a nanobubble technology that could co-deliver saturated oxygen as well as antiviral nanoparticles directly into the airways of COVID-19 patient with low blood oxygen. SmartRat has antibacterial as well as antifungal properties that could be effective against the secondary infections and sepsis often observed in severely ill COVID-19 patients. We aim to improve survival in patients with viral infections such as COVID-19 using our SmartRat technology. So what is the current landscape? There is no standard of care for treating COVID-19. Remdesivir is the only antiviral drug that has been approved under emergency use authorization. However, remdesivir only provides minor benefits. It could only reduce the hospital stay from 15 days to 14 days and decrease mortality by less than 5%. Hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin alone or in combination did not show any clinical benefit to COVID-19 patients compared to placebo. Experts such as Anthony Fauci and others have claimed that vaccines may not be available until the end of next year. It is also important to note that multiple vaccine candidates that were in clinical trials have been suspended due to safety concerns. Convalescent plasma is also found ineffective against COVID-19. Even if vaccines become available, multiple recent surveys have shown that more than 50% of Americans would not want to get vaccinated against COVID-19. So what are the key differentiators? SmartRat is highly inexpensive compared to the competition remdesivir. It costs less than 10 cents per patient per course compared to remdesivir that costs nearly $5,000 per patient per course. It comes as a single easy to use inhaler can be used at home as well as at ICU or hospital, is highly stable at room temperature with a long shelf life and does not require refrigeration at all. Can be easily scaled up for manufacturing. It is patent pending. We are planning for preclinical testing, and when proven effective, we plan to partner with Vidant Hospital for clinical trials. Proven safe and effective, we have plans to bring this to market within 2 to 3 years. We have partners in India and Nepal and are exploring partners in Nigeria. Thinking beyond COVID, Smart Rat could be easily adapted in treating antibiotic-resistant bacteria, hospital-acquired infections, as well as other bacteria and virus-related future epidemics and pandemics. We have developed a strong team. Myself, Dr. Lok Pokhrel, I am a nanotoxicologist by training. Dr. Saw Akula, virologist and immunologist. Dr. Robert Wardell, cardiopulmonary physiologist. Dr. Carlisle Rogers, licensing associate, and Mr. Michael Kahns, business advisor. We have built a strong team of experts who are as enthusiastic as I am and have a common goal to bring this novel antiviral therapeutic to the market as soon as possible and save as many lives as possible. Not to mention that number of people dying from starvation due to COVID-19 may double, if not triple, during this pandemic. There is therefore an unmet need for a breakthrough solution such as Smart Rat as an antiviral therapeutic. We have enthusiasm, expertise, resources, and a strong team to address the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and save millions of lives, including those children in low and middle income countries and those around the world. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you all at the conference.
Hello everyone, my name is Prince Kaude and I am from Malawi. I am a registered community health nurse working in Lilongwe. I will take you through a presentation on symptomatic screening and abdominal ultrasound imaging for early detection and improved treatment survival in children with Burkitt's lymphoma in Malawi. During the time when I was a nursing student allocated to Kamuzu Central Hospital Pediatric Oncology Unit, I had the chance to observe children battling with Burkitt's lymphoma. It was so hard for me to watch these children, to observe these children, as they were diagnosed in the late stages and receiving invasive treatment. They were painfully struggling with the invasive treatment and had a survival percentage rate of less than 40%. Burkitt's lymphoma is the most common malignancy in Malawian children, as well as most parts of Equatorial Africa. It is the fastest growing form of malignancy among all human malignancies. It affects the jaw, it affects the spine, it affects the orbit, as well as the abdomen. It is highly curable, however, but unfortunately with late diagnosis, it is always fatal. Burkitt's lymphoma is curable with chemotherapy when started early, maybe in the first and second stages of the disease, and the survival percentage rate is greater than 70 to 80%. In Malawi, mostly it is challenging because it is challenging to detect Burkitt's lymphoma at an early stage because we are a low-resource country, and being a low-resource country, most children in the hospitals, or most children are referred to the hospitals when they are weak and febrile and they have been sick for over a week or two. It is also challenging to detect Burkitt's lymphoma here in Malawi at an early stage because we do not have, most hospitals do not have imaging modalities or diagnostic modalities such as ultrasound imaging and CT imaging. Because of this, early detection is always a challenge, and the majority of the population, because they live in remote areas, cannot afford these diagnostic modalities. As such, most hospitals use physical examination as a a tool to detect, or as a means to detect Burkitt's lymphoma. Unfortunately, with physical examination, we cannot be able to detect Burkitt's lymphoma at an early stage. So we believe with this project, which is focusing on symptomatic screening as well as ultrasound imaging, we believe that we can save many children's lives in Malawi. This potential new approach will focus on symptomatic screening of Burkitt's lymphoma and followed by abdominal ultrasound scanning in children who are presenting with early symptoms of Burkitt's lymphoma, using these devices. A device like this one, it's an ultrasound imaging device which is connected to the smartphone and can be used to transmit images, ultrasound images to the hospital or to a center where same day review of the scans can be done by a pediatric specialist as well as ultrasound specialist. A trained community health nurse can be able to do the ultrasound imaging in the remote areas and send the images. I was involved in a pilot training program where we focused, or we included children of age ranges of 4 to 12, as well as those children presenting with early symptoms of Burkitt's lymphoma, such as fever for over 1 week, unexplained weight loss, loss of appetite, night sweats, as well as fatigue. We included them in this pilot training program when we were training the nurses to do symptomatic screening as well as ultrasound imaging. And we observed through this pilot training, which was a success, we observed that the screening as well as the scanning took about less than 10 minutes following a parental consent, and did not disrupt the pediatric clinic flow of the well child. And then, following the skills that we gained through this training program, we were able to come up with a plan to train 12 community health nurses who can be able to conduct symptomatic screening as well as abdominal ultrasound imaging in the remote areas where they cannot afford the CT imaging or ultrasound imaging in the hospitals. So through this training, we are confident that these 12 nurses will be able to do ultrasound scanning to over 40,000 children in Malawi, and about 100 to 150 cases of Burkitt's lymphoma may be detected in children and promptly referred for treatment. We also believe that these nurses will be able to identify other pathologies that are usually found in the pediatric population. Thank you so much for listening.
Advantages of the PPE that you've developed. You said that it meets the WHO perfect criteria, but what is unique about your design, and how does it stand apart from existing PPE that are available?
I think that's a great question. So I actually have a printed out renderation of what it looks like. So as you can see, it has, it really is just an innovation using the given, the strengths of PPE today while eliminating the weaknesses. So we do have that regular face mask, as you can see, with the nose bridge to create a seal. And in regular PPE, that is usually made with synthetic dyes and synthetic fabrics, which end up hurting the environment. So ours, we tried to cover as many as those 10 things that you said, that the World Health Organization stated. And what this does is it kind of, it's a rather simple innovation because it just combines the strengths of the existing ones while eliminating the weaknesses. So for example, for the mask part of it, it's made with either, we have different options for each component of it, but it could be made with either organic cotton fabric or organic hemp fabric, both of which are can be grown within 60 to 180 days, so it's easy turnaround time, and both can be biodegradable within a few years. And then the plastic pieces that you see, we also have options for that, which is polyvinyl alcohol, which is completely biodegradable, leaving no microplastics. We also have thermoplastic polyurethane. That's a tongue twister, but that's roughly about 3 to 5 years, and it's very durable. And then we also have a very cheap option, and it is a Eco Solutions cup that is used in everyday actual restaurants, and it's FDA approved. And what that can do is help like measurement for the strips of the mouthpiece.
Have you costed what your device would cost to produce, and how does that compare to existing PPE?
That's another great question. So we did the individual prices of our PPE. We haven't done a total complete price because the goal is to eventually have it in bulk, all the raw like parts of it, and have it shipped to or have Bangladesh ordered to Bangladesh so they can be able to create the mask themselves and then create the economic part of it as well as the public health need part of it. When compared to the pricing, I know I don't know the exact prices compared to PPE in the Western. Sorry, can you hear me? All right, so the Western hemisphere, but I do know that the U.S. government did around $600 million of PPE for the medical sector, and so I definitely think that it'll be less than 600 million, especially with all the ecological benefits of it, if that makes sense.
Okay, great. Thank you. So are there other questions?
Yeah, May, if I could jump in here. Thanks, Adam. My question, I guess, is similar, but maybe put in a little bit different way, just so I can really understand this. So, you know, there are fabric masks that are being made in many places around the world from locally produced materials and local labor. And so what would be the novel part and what would be the added value of the mask that you propose versus those fabric masks that are being made quite on large scales in other places?
That is a great question. So let's start with about sourcing it to the lower middle income country. So that is Bangladesh. That's the one we chose because it has a really unique perspective, because they went from a lower income country to like a middle income country around 2015. And so in the day and age of internet fashion and so-called fast fashion online, a lot of Western companies are already shipping their workload over to countries like Bangladesh. In fact, Bangladesh is already exporting, is the second most exporting for these fabric companies. And so they already have the infrastructure to do fabrics, like fabric masks and stuff like that. But what separates us is the fact that we're using different types of fabric. So most of the fabric masks that they could be producing right now would have mostly polyester, which isn't the best for the environment. And it would either be a polyester or a polyester cotton mix. And so if we focus on the cotton and hemp fabrics, what that would do is be more, that would allow for more, like better for the environment basically. And they would also last longer than these conventional polyester and polyester cotton mixed masks.
Thank you.
Is there time for one more question, or do we have to move on?
We have to move on here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then the next questions are for Molly. Molly Klarman with MotoMeds. Judges?
So really great presentation. I enjoyed it very much. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your social marketing strategy. How do patients that might want to access your call line, how do they find out about it?
Okay, so that was a little bit more difficult than we anticipated. anticipated because we launched this in September 2019 when Haiti were closed, businesses were closed, no one was driving around, no one was in the street. There were no, I think I'm going to turn off my video because my internet is a little unstable. All of like schools were closed, like I said, all of our like avenues for publicity had kind of like shut down. At the same time, because we're just launching this, we were a little bit nervous about call volume being too high. And our nurses were just training the protocols. We were even reiterating the guidelines like as we started the first couple weeks. So we didn't want to do too much publicity because if we were overwhelmed at the beginning, we could have like failed. So what we did was some radio announcements and some flyers in the streets. So the markets were still open to some extent. And so the first month we actually had very low call volume, but it started to pick up in October, and then it started to spread from word of mouth as well as like our employees. So we have about 8 local nurses and 9 motorcycle taxi drivers who helped to spread the word. And then, so as the country started reopening after the political unrest, coronavirus arrived and everything shut down again. So it wasn't really until this past August that we were able to publicize in the schools and churches, and like soccer games also is like a good option for publicity around here.
Thank you. Are there other questions from judges?
I don't want to monopolize the questioning, but I guess I will. It struck me, Molly, and so correct me if I'm wrong, that Moto Med's really the most valuable part of your program wasn't so much the moto. It seemed to me that it was developing the public health algorithms really and medical algorithms that would have benefit. And I just wondered if you had a comment on that, or if I'm missing something. But yeah, can you comment, please?
Yes, no, I would agree. That was the most difficult part of developing MotoMeds, and that's what our research has been on, was to evaluate the congruence between households, exams that we perform in households and the assessments we perform over the phone. And so if, for example, the motorcycle delivery component of this is too logistics heavy, there's still options of people being able to buy medications locally on their own once they've been assessed and provided with a appropriate treatment recommendation. So yeah, the motorcycle definitely adds, delivery definitely adds like a valuable aspect, but the kind of core of our of MotoMeds is developing the clinical guidelines and protocols.
Thank you.
Can I ask, what is your sustainability strategy? How are you integrating within local health systems?
We've started conversations with like the Ministry of Health and EMS services, both public and private, in Haiti and in Ghana. But before we can get there, we are trying to digitize the protocols and guidelines, and then we want to try to bring it to scale. So removing the nurse from the motorcycle, so it's now just assessments in the call center. So it's a true telemedicine model, and then delivery by motorcycle. And so that we think will take about 1 year to 2 years, but eventually, I mean, the ideal landing place for this would be to couple it with an EMS service. So that could benefit the EMS service because they are now avoiding pre-emergency illnesses from becoming emergency illnesses, and emergency illnesses are much more resource heavy and it's complicated to deal with. At the same time, there are children that we identify as having danger signs or emergencies over the phone, and currently that's kind of a limitation to this whole project, is there are really few options for emergency care here. So we do refer people to the hospital, and sometimes they're able to go, sometimes they're not, sometimes they find service, sometimes they don't. And so it could be a seamless transition if it was coupled with an EMS service. And so there is, in Haiti, there is a fledgling EMS service, and there's also a private service that we've been in communication with.
So thank you very much. And we have any other questions? I don't see anything in the chat. So maybe we can just go on to the next presenter, if that's okay, for the sake of time. So the next presenter to receive question is Shrikar. And could we have the judges begin the questioning and then followed by any of the audience? Thank you.
So I also really enjoyed your presentation. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the design criteria for your smartphone imager. How did you decide how much resolution you need?
Yeah, of course. And so to give a little bit of background, the corneal endothelium is traditionally imaged using this device called a specular microscope. Many of you likely when visiting the ophthalmologist would have been imaged by this. And the thing with that is it's $40,000 and it has an incredibly high resolution camera to capture those beautiful pictures of cells. And so our approach was to do a lot of development on the software side. So our images that we receive from the camera are generally 2,000 by 3,000 pixels. And we captured all of them with a $250 Android smartphone that's kind of readily available in most low resource settings. And we leveraged computational imaging algorithms like directional filtering and neural networks to essentially take this low resolution image, extract features like the border of cells from it, and provide the clinically relevant estimates. So to answer your question, I think we really tried to focus on the software and image analysis and image processing to account for the fact that, you know, there's a wide variety of ophthalmologists with different sorts of smartphone cameras that will likely end up using the device.
One of the challenges with convolutional neural networks and deep learning approaches is that they require a lot of data to train so that they are generalizable. And so I think I understood you to say that you had images from 30 patients, which typically would be considered, I think, a pretty small amount of data to train a CNN. Where are you in assessing the generalizability of your deep learning algorithm?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that question. It's something we thought quite a bit about during software development. So when we trained our neural network, we used a data set of 1,500 images from of corneal endothelium taken from both control patients, patients post-DMEC, patients with genetic endothelial dystrophies. This data set was from the UK Biobank, you know, a publicly available data set, and they were captured using a specular microscope, obviously. And so we, you know, employed a transfer learning approach to train our network, both using this very large data set that was retrospectively collected in the UK and our own, you know, data set that was collected with our partnerships in India and validated the performance on the model on both data sets.
Thanks. Good. May you're on mute. Quick question from me, Srikar. Nice presentation. I just wondered if you had any thoughts to try to extend this whole technique beyond corneal disease, and you know there were opportunities to look for lens opacification and different things, and or retinal disease. You know there could be a broader approach that would be in order there. Have you thought about that at all? I guess are those next steps?
Yeah, no, of course. Speaking to our physician advisors in India, this is like a huge thing that came up. They see a lot of patients with diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma. It's the two biggest categories of retinal disease they treat. And we're actually in parallel developing this attachment to a smartphone that has like a 20 diopter lens that enables you to take a picture of the back of the cornea, or back of the retina rather. And you can visualize the macula, the fovea, those vessels. And we're similarly employing CNN-based approaches to predict, glaucoma risk and, diabetic retinopathy diagnostic status using those imaging.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I see no other questions in the chat. So maybe we'll just, for sake of time, move on to our next presenter, which is Lok Porkal. And questions for his innovation?
So Lok, yeah, thank you for your presentation. I just, first of all, want to make sure I understood. So the idea is that you would combine nanoparticles and oxygen within your entity, but you didn't specify what those nanoparticles were. So this is right now a delivery mechanism, but we're not sure, other than oxygen, what it's delivering. Is that correct?
That's a good question, Dan. Not really. So our nanoparticle itself are antibacterial and antifungal. So we hypothesize that it might be useful against the virus, SARS coronavirus 2, which we have not yet tested, but we are on the process of testing perhaps next month. We got a small funding recently, and we are getting ready to receive the money. And once we have the money, we get the supplies in, and we will just get right onto the work. So in the next few months, we will have a better idea as to whether or not the nanobubble technology will really work on the virus. Our expectation is that it does, because it kills bacteria within 10 minutes and does the same thing for fungus. We have tested on some of the cell lines, and it shows similar efficacy. So we believe that it is also efficacious against the virus.
So your testing in the next few months wouldn't be against SARS-CoV-2, or is it? But you didn't mention you mentioned antibacterial and antifungals, but you didn't mention an antiviral. What's inside the bubble?
So the bubble is made of pure water, and inside the bubble we have pure oxygen. And along with those oxygen molecules, we will have our lab synthesized nanoparticles. So these are specific nanoparticles that we have designed. We have a couple of patents pending right now. So I mean, for the sake of the audience, and perhaps because of the patent issue, so I'm not disclosing what actually the particles themselves are made of, because people can imitate that fairly easily. So, but these are really very tiny, less than 5 nanometer size nanoparticles. And these are metal particles.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you evaluated the toxicity associated with your nanobubbles?
We have done on bacteria, a couple of strains of E. coli, pathogenic E. coli bacteria. We are testing on salmonella and a couple of species of fungus. In all assay, we have found toxicity. So in this case for SARS-CoV-2, we will be doing that preclinical testing, which will be in vitro testing in the next couple of months.
I guess my question was, though, thinking about, I'm not sure what the delivery route is, but the toxicity for patients.
Right. So in terms of other vaccines and other antiviral therapeutics that people are working on currently, generally it is injectable. So they go through IV. So in our case, we are taking a different approach. So we believe that at a very low dose, we can deliver this in the form of inhaler. So just like the asthma patients would use it. So it will be single, easy to use inhaler, no requirement of nurses or doctors. It can be done at home as well as at the ICU fairly easily. So the overall cost for our patient at the healthcare setting, even if they have to hospitalize, would be fairly minimal. And when you talk about the chemical itself, per dose, it comes to be around 1 to 2 cents. So we expect that 3 or 4 doses might be required. So the total cost could be less than 10 cents. So it is going to be extremely cheaper, fairly easy to make. It doesn't require bigger gadgets that is often required for vaccine manufacturing. So in that regard, I think people in low middle income countries will be easily able to afford it once we have that inhaler ready.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, then we're going to move on to, is it Prince?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So are there questions for Prince for his innovation?
Sure. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the role of histologic confirmation for diagnosis of Burkitt's. I wasn't quite sure that I understood where the abdominal ultrasound with the portable device sort of fit in the entire diagnostic scheme. If I understand correctly, you're taking symptomatic children and then allowing lower skilled clinicians to be able to do the abdominal ultrasound, which is read by an expert. What role does pathologic confirmation of diagnosis play, and how do you think that fits in with your innovation?
Thank you for the question.
Our innovation, it's really care.
So Prince, you're breaking up a little
Can you
bit.
hear me?
Yeah, so you're breaking
Okay.
up a little bit. So can you just repeat again? I'll give you a little time. Repeat again, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
It's better with your camera off.
Yes, it's much better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so I was saying that our innovation is into primary healthcare, and we are focusing much on ultrasound imaging. There are no any other pathologies or modalities of diagnosis that we are into, but then we are just focusing on ultrasound imaging. So we are using the nurses and especially those who have been trained in ultrasound imaging, and then they are doing the ultrasound imaging and send the images to a specialist. And if there are some issues to do with the Burkitt's lymphoma in the child, then this child will then go into further diagnostic approaches like the ones you're saying. So that's our innovation.
And Prince, thinking about the sustainability of it, once the image is sent to the specialist and you're hoping to image a lot of children, how do you plan to help with the increased workload on the specialist time now?
Thank you so much. In this case, we are just sending, okay, the specialist is able to view all those images, and it's not just one, but the one we were using or the one we were working with during the pilot study was just a single specialist. But then there are other specialists who can be able to help with the project. But for the pilot study, we just used one. And we saw that it was possible. He could review the images, and because he is a specialist, he knows when there is a problem. He knows when there is some areas to note. So it was just easy for him to note. Yeah.
Can I ask, how did you get the idea for this project?
Okay, so this idea was introduced by one of the members of the team, Dr. John Podgo. He was doing rounds with, he's a pediatric specialist, and he was doing rounds at one of the local hospitals in Malawi, and he saw a lot of children who were suffering or were in late stages of the disease. So he said, what if we can come up with an approach to identify this Burkitt's lymphoma in its early stages? So that's when we embarked on this project, and we are sure that we will do much good.
Okay, other questions? Thank you very much. So I think if we don't, I'm going to turn it over for voting to Molly at this moment.
Yeah, so I am going to open up the voting. And so if you can see the polling screen, you'll have to join Slido at slido.com. And this number 86222 is the number that you should go into. Can you guys all hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, perfect. And then, or you can use the QR code as well. So if the audience could vote, the judges, can you please enter your scores into your sheets? And Dan, you can email me your sheet when it's done. And so we have 5 minutes for voting. Everybody can vote. And then we will have some time for me to tabulate the scores, and then we will announce our grand prize winner. So everybody please go ahead and vote. And
So this is for the audience who's attending and yes, voting, not for the judges. The judges come in a different deliberative session that they will discuss after this 10 minutes. So Those of you who can access the Slido code, please enter and vote.
And can the audience, are there audience members here and can they see this? There we go. Because we do need the audience participation here. So audience, go ahead and vote.
So to me, what's interesting is taking this online when normally we would have everybody in place and sort of jumping up and down and shouting and yelling. We are missing that. And I feel like I need to play a tape of some sort, you know, to just get the crowd going. But I think these are very important ideas that have been presented. And if you can, please vote, access it. And you know, a lot of these innovations can be taken further with your help. So the judges can also see a little bit of what's happening as well, if they have the shared slide. But I think I'd like to have the judges be alerted to go to your chat room so that you can have some frank and open discussion and come back to us within a 10-minute period to give us of your wisdom and judgment. Again, the judges' scores rank 60% and the audience score ranks 40% of the total. And we will let you know as soon as the judges turn in their scores what the combination will be. And be patient with us. It might take a little while because we're doing this offline with 4 or 5. We're doing actually 3 different kinds of media at the moment. And so you just have to be patient. So we've had a lot of fun in starting this group. And what happened was that back when it was, I can't remember, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I was speaking with Dan Bouch, and Dan said, why don't we do something innovative and different here at ASTMH? And so this is what we started with some of the challenges. And it's grown and gone in different ways. So we're really, really pleased. Our first year winner were from the Johns Hopkins School, Johns Hopkins University at their Innovation Center. And it was really a mosquito trap. And that essentially had taking the traditional what they call the CDC light trap and adapting a camera to it and being able to identify different visual species of mosquitoes as they flew into the trap. And it allowed you to have a count. And for those of you who are out there doing mosquito counting, which sometimes I realize now that in COVID times, that's been quite reduced in activity. It allowed you to sit at your bench to know which of the traps had mosquitoes enter into the trap. And they could also speciate to genus and sometimes to species of the mosquito that entered, so that you would know which are the ones that you need to go pick up and take a look at. And it made a lot of sense. It's been deployed more in the mosquito control areas of the southern part of the United States and elsewhere. And so this innovation has gained that kind of traction and usefulness for those who are resource limited, unable to travel to pick up traps, but able to observe what comes into their traps. So I thought that's a wonderful innovation. And our other innovation was last year with Mimi Ying, who is a judge here, and I will explain to you what that means in many ways. So with the judges, what we start with is that each of the winner this year will then roll into next year's judging panel, because that's part of the price you pay. Sorry, but we feel it's very important that our innovators participate in the actual decision of next year's winner. And what we're hoping for is to collect enough of a body of innovators together, because when you get together, you certainly share lots of ideas. And the one part is that Mimi's was really to test for various diagnostic disease in an innovative way. And so she's been able to move that forward quite a bit. And what happens is, after the innovation, the winner of the innovation is, we will provide advice to you and to help you move your innovation to the next phase as best as we can. And if it's mature enough, then to the marketing phase. If it's in development, we try to find laboratories on the sides that can work with you to develop further what you need to do for evidence and the next piece of the innovation. So it's been a very interesting process. And I think we have had quite a bit of learning curve, because traditionally all of us are geared towards learning as a scientist to do investigational research. We often don't think of it as something that could be taken to market, but maybe we don't plan it that way. So in this case, what we're trying to do is help you push it further. So I also want to make sure that you understand the winners this year will, as you have been noticed, but the audience may not, is that besides being a finalist, which I think these are wonderful innovations, is that next year, as part of being the finalist, and the role for the winning presentation this year will be a judge, but the others are also going to be provided with it. Besides the cash prize, be invited to the annual meeting next year. And I know we will have one live in person next year, right? We're going to conquer this. And so you will be invited to join to give an update on what has happened to your project, so that we will all hear from you. And that invitation includes airfare, hotel, local transportation, and costs, and the registration for next year's meeting. So come to the meeting next year, plan for it. Okay.
And I'm going to close the voting here. So if the audience has about 30 more seconds to change their mind or to change their voting if they like, and then I'm going to close it so that I can tally all the scores. So everybody.
So this is the audience favorite. So do not be surprised.
This is not audience favorite. This is.
I'm sorry. This is the audience vote. Excuse me. This is the audience vote. So this vote counts 40%. It may flip once the judges put in their score. So we don't know. the surprise, the reveal will come after we receive the judges. Okay.
So,
Well, thank
right.
you. Yeah.
Okay, I am going to stop that voting, and then I am going to harvest the judges' scores. So they are in the final process of deciding those now, and we will I will get those to you as soon as I can round them up from all the judges.
Yes. So thank you, Molly. So I think, do any of you have questions about how we got to the selection at this point of the submissions? Because maybe I can share with you a little bit of what we do, and in hopes that maybe you will join us next year as well and make it even better and make it even more robust. So what we do have this year is we've created at ASTMH a committee for the innovations pitch competition. The committee members are set, and that they are engaged in various different parts of tropical medicine, from clinical to laboratory diagnostics to pharmacological to surveillance to arboviruses and to arboviruses and also malaria and other diseases. So it's a very wide group of very open thinking scientists who are interested in innovation and assisting with innovations. So we have a committee who will then look at, starting next year, the different submissions and the various different ways that we can bring more innovation to ASTMH. And if you're interested in serving on the committee, we would really welcome your joining us. You do have to be a member of ASTMH, but I think that is a small price to pay to join in helping your colleagues and others pushing out innovations. Another part of this would be that we would, if you're not part of the innovations pitch committee, we also have a group that is adjunct to us out of the committee that is what we call the reviewers. And the reviewers are volunteers of the ASTMH family of experts, and they sign up to be reviewers of your proposals, for which we had 3 reviewers for each proposal, and they score them. And they are matched to your innovation as to what the skill set and the science and the different aspects of it. And we had about 28 reviewers this year, and we divided up the proposals that came in, and we made sure that at least 3 persons reviewed it and gave you the score, and so that it was fairly balanced. And then what we have then from that is a rich field of people who really just want to know and add to our knowledge, and also they give us thoughts about how to do it better every year. So the other piece is for all of you is that as you go through this process now, and you are now in the family in that sense, what we really want to make sure is that you think of giving us feedback as to how this will go. This year is a little bit choppier because we just simply did not have all the ability to bring all of you together, which would have been a lot nicer. But we hope that we'll see you next year at the TropMed meetings. Okay, so I see that the judges are coming back, so we must have a result of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So
I sent it to you. Yep, it's in the chat, May.
Okay, yes. So do we want to wait? We're missing a judge or 2.
I know one of them was having connectivity issues, so he's here.
Okay, so without further ado, because after this we have another vote, which is the audience favorite, okay? And the winner of this competition will not be eligible for the audience favorite, because we felt that it would be good to highlight the other 4. So thank you very much, Shrikar. You are the winner, and you're our innovation champion this year. We're gonna put on you so much more responsibility to develop this, but thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations very much. And our second place
But wait, do we want to do the audience favorite before we announce the second place?
All right. So before I announce the second place, so we have two other announcements to come. One is the second place, and we have then the audience favorite. So Shrikar, your group and your innovation takes home the grand prize of $10,000. Okay, so that's really wonderful. That's hope, and then we'll be in touch with you about how to get that transferred to you. But shall we go ahead and do the audience favorite? So the audience favorite, just to be sure, is then we have Adam's presentation, we have Prince, and we have Look, and we have Molly. Okay, so here it is. We have the four that we should vote on. And again, the same thing with Slido. Please join at slido.com or take a picture of the QR code and give voting. And we have 10 minutes, right? For the
about that, yeah. I would say.
Okay, so 10 minutes. So please vote for any one of the four for the audience favorite that you enjoyed.
Oops.
So judges, I hope you found that this was an interesting experience, even though we put you through some hurly-burly, different chat rooms and different pieces. I think we've had I'm really impressed with the Tropical Medicine Society's commitment to innovations. I'm really impressed by the submissions that we received. They were of great variety and in different kinds of approaches, which tells us how creative our folks are, and that giving them the ability to sort of propose and think of it in a more innovative entrepreneurial way is also quite different from the tradition of tropical, at least how I grew up in tropical medicine. And I hope you really enjoyed it. And I really thank the judges for volunteering their time and also for providing resources to us as well. I don't think we could do it without you. So I do hope you stick with us, give us your opinion as to what you think we could improve. We can always learn and stay engaged with us, because some of these are going to be really interesting developments coming up with these innovations. So thank you very much from all the committee, and I hope I speak for the finalists as well. Really, thank you.
Well, thank you, May and Molly, for putting this all together this year and previous years, and thanks to all the people who participated. Your pitches were all quite, I know you put a lot of time and effort into this, so regardless of outcomes and things, you should all be proud of your performance and what you put together. So thanks very much, and good luck to all of you.
And I think we're going to wrap up the voting here pretty soon. So if you want to change your mind or change your vote, you've only got a couple minutes here left. There we go, people changing.
I know, I mean, that's one of the things about the, being able to see the voting, and it just, when we first started this, it was really very different, because people were asked to do it favorite. And we often, in sessions that I've sat through, and I go, I really like that one, but they, but we didn't get a chance to vote for it. So we decided that this is a way to give you recognition for the best presentation. And I hope when you see that, it encourages you to even do more. Okay.
And also recognize that, of course, we know that you're all at different points in development of your strategies and projects. And so if this were, happened to be 6 months from now, it might be a completely different result that we're seeing. So if you're not a winner in these categories, please don't be too discouraged.
That's right. Yes. And I've already mentioned, while the judges were sequestered, that they're invited back as finalists to come to the live meeting next year. Is that right, Dan?
That's right.
And that they are expected then to give us an update on what they have gone, how they develop further their ideas. And, we also have a committee now under the ASTMH so that we can also be a resource for you to be able to help you move your idea forward. And we really encourage you to stay engaged with us, because our belief is that we should be able to provide you as much assistance as possible to move it forward, because I know sometimes that's difficult and there are barriers, but all of you have done such wonderful jobs with such good ideas that we want to make sure that we help you promoting it. Okay, do you want to close it now, Molly?
Yep, I think we have an audience favorite, so if you want to announce, and then also announce the second prize.
Yeah, so Prince, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take it to your group, and that will be $500 for you. And then our second place is Molly. And you're the baby. So thank you very much. All right. And so we have some really good winners. I mean, all of you are winners, having made it to the finalists, but then we really congratulate you for your hard work. And with that, I think we are, we've done all the things that we need to do. And we thank you very much for attending the session, and stay in touch with us, please.
Yeah, please do. And we hope to see all of you next year, hopefully in person, but we'll see how things go. But one way or another, please do keep in touch, and good luck.
And the ASTMH staff, Rebecca Hamill and Kyle Harwood, have to give them kudos for having pulled this together and helping us. Thank you so much, Rebecca and Kyle. And they will be in touch with the winners, and they will work out the transfer of your award to you. Okay, all of you will be receiving funds. So thank you very much. Thank you for this session.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for having us.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Congrats, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.